everybody. I'm Caren Crandell. I'm here with Lou Cabeen in an area that many people know as the Union Bay Natural Area, which is part of the University of Washington campus in Seattle. Of course, we want to acknowledge that where we gather today has been the homeland of the Coast Salish people for millennia. And this is something that we'll touch on in a number of ways through my comments today. My areas of specialty are wetland ecology, restoration ecology, plant ecology, and these areas have led me to get into environmental history, the material culture of Native Americans, especially in the Pacific Northwest, and also cultural geography of plants used in basketry. That's sort of the where, when, and why of plants used for cultural purposes. As I have engaged in all of these areas, I have spent a lot of time thinking about place. So when I engage with place, when I think about place, I think about the modification of the landscape, especially water, which is humankind's favorite thing to alter. I think about the damage to ecosystems caused by human action, human activity. I think about the native plants versus the non-native plant species that occupy the landscape. I think about climate change and what's possible given some of the contextual factors that ecosystems respond to. I think about the colonization of indigenous lands and Native American rights, with the environmental rights being cultural rights and cultural rights being human rights, including access to resources and existence of the ecosystems on which the Native Americans depend. And I think about novel ecosystems, which have been, which are a result of human activity and climate change, and are new features in the landscape. So this is a kind of a list of worries, a litany of worries, and if one dwells simply on this list, it can kind of bring you down. So my job, as I see it, is to transform some of those negative worries into positive action. So I have a few worries as I think about the landscape, and I try to take those negative worries and, rather than dwelling on them and in them, and transform them instead into positive action. Positive action includes things like enhancing ecological function, increasing ecosystem services, engaging in restoration work, coming to terms with the existence of novel ecosystems, and illuminating the connection between Native American culture and the environment. A big part of the positive action I try to engage in has been teaching. And I've been really fortunate to have teaching opportunities here at UW Seattle and also at UW Bothell. And the teaching itself is an inherently optimistic, inherently hopeful undertaking. And I've been, as I say, very fortunate. I try to involve students in meaningful engagement with the landscape, meaningful experience with hands-on restoration. And I also try to ensure that students understand some of the socio-political history of the region and really North America as a whole. And make sure that Native American students feel seen and acknowledged to whatever degree they determine is appropriate, and provide opportunities to connect with the landscape. This is what they've shared with me has been meaningful to them about the courses they've been in. So teaching these things is accomplished most powerfully in place. And we are in an area where 2 years worth of restoration in North America students have devoted a lot of time and energy and heart, and that there are examples of student involvement and commitment all throughout Union Bay Natural Area. And I've really been fortunate to have the opportunity to teach with students here. So this place is what brought Lou and me together in conversation. She had specific questions or gaps in information that she hoped to fill, and we would start with those, but those would inevitably lead to philosophical discussions about, for instance, the meaning of the word restoration, and about shared values such as recognizing indigenous lands, pursuing environmental recovery, thinking about the benefits of nature to the human spirit, and also responding responsibly to climate change. Lou's way of engaging with the landscape, engaging with Union Bay Natural Area, expanded my universe of how people respond to place. And I was reminded that a human experience of place can include positive responses to aspects that I spend my time worrying about. I do include creative components such as art and poetry in some of my courses, and Lou's work reinforces the notion that art is a way of seeing just as science is a way of seeing. Both are ways of telling stories about place. I'm grateful that we've had the opportunity, Lou and I, to share stories and share this place. And best of all, the conversation is just beginning.